Today you are going to see a group of third grade students in what would be a Tier 2 guided reading setting. So they will have already received guided reading in the classroom. This is an extra dose of what we call Tier 1. It's kind of like a core plus more, I've heard it called. So everything they're going to do is aligned to grade level. So their third grade standards, their third grade expectations. We'll be doing a close reading. The only difference is it will be not at third grade level text. It will be brought down to their instructional level. One of the anchor standards is that students can read grade level text by the end of the year. A lot of times when you're in a support role like I am for reading interventions, students can do the standards and they need to have that same level of rigor, but they can't always do it at grade level text. So one of the easiest ways that I can differentiate for those students, because I still want the expectations the same. I still want the new Illinois Learning Standards the same for these students. But in order for them to really enter the text, they need to be able to read the text. So I can bring it down to a lower level. We talked about this the first time we did main idea and details. This just reminds us that a main idea is the most important idea about a story. So without looking, what do you suppose the details are? The activity we're doing, I learned about from a close reading workshop called the Incredible Shrinking Note Card. So they take the text and they have to shrink it down to important ideas that'll fit on a note card. And then they work with their partner to whittle it down to actually one. Madison, you have another important idea? Okay.
Like out here, when it says you draw the farm animals, like that's how he started to draw. He might like drawing, maybe.
That is important. You're right, because we know about him now that he is an artist, right, when he got older. So what should we say? Draw the farm animals? Finding the important ideas from what we read and putting it in a list on a note card. And as we keep working, in a little bit here, you and your partner are going to figure out if you can shrink down our list of important ideas to come up with which ones are the most important. We are going to use these to make a list. And I know if you've worked with me before, we've done lists. They don't have to be in complete sentences. You don't have to worry about capitals or periods. Lists are nice, quick ways to get some thoughts on a paper. So what we're going to do is use the wonderful ideas you just underlined, and we're going to put them onto our note card. So which was our first one here? If I go back to paragraph 1, looks like the first words we underlined were what, Madison?
Started out like a normal boy.
Perfect. So I'm going to just copy that. I'm hoping that they can evaluate with their partners the idea that some details from the author are more important than others. To start with, they're going to generate any idea. They can pull anything that they want. Eventually, through discussion and hopefully through some modeling, they'll decide that not everything on that paper is of equal value. The author gave it to you for a reason, but then you as the reader have to figure out, well, is this really the main idea? Is that more of a minor detail? We're going to read it together, but then you find the important ideas. Let's look at paragraph 3. Rowan's ready. He's got his pencil ready to underline. That's a great idea. Let's start. Oh, did you have a question first?
I think that this one might have more ideas than in the other one.
Yeah.
Than in the other ones because it's a bigger paragraph.
Yeah, that one does look like it's got more information. So I think you're going to have a very easy time finding important details. Okay. Ready, friends? Let's start. His cartoons had a touch of magic. The original plan was I would do 1 and 2 together with them, model it for them, and then they would do 3 completely on their own. And I did that because that way they had double the amount of time that I was modeling it. But the third paragraph was also, it was lengthier. It was a little bit meatier. I didn't want to give them a paragraph that had 2 minor sentences because there really wouldn't be anything to sink their teeth into. So it seemed to work out nicely. And 3 paragraphs actually took the whole lesson. We have found actually, even just in my interventionist setting, I have found students struggle. This is a very simplistic example. Passage, text, story, selection. Some students don't realize those are asking the same thing. And it's my job to make sure they know that, because those academic words, even though in a simplistic setting, you know, in a very simplistic example, they need to know how to tackle that, because that's going to, those are words they're going to see in their questioning. Those are words they're going to see not necessarily just tied to this text, but across the standard. Would you share with the group what you shared with me? Okay. Your 3 ideas, but especially your thoughts behind that first one. Listen up.
This cartoon had a touch of magic that rhymes with the title, so I think that maybe that sentence might have a clue for the whole entire story.
Smart. She realized that that word magic that was in the title came up again. And we've talked about how the title is a big clue about what it's mostly about.
Sometimes the teacher tells us that the main idea is in the first or last paragraph.
Absolutely. That's another very good place to look. Rowan, you want to share what you had, please?
I had Walt's story had music and characters that talked.
I would agree that's important. Why did you think that was important?
I think that's important because at the third paragraph about it said that other cartoons were filmed in black and white.
Good. What was your other important idea that you listed?
Walt told real stories.
Now, is it okay that we had different answers?
Yes.
Do you think so?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so too. Some were the same, weren't they? But that's interesting because even though we all read the same paragraph, what we thought was the most important wasn't exactly the same. And that's how it is when you read. Everybody can read the same piece of text, but the way they think about it or the way they feel about it may not be exactly the same way. That's how you know it's a good piece of writing. If you think of that triangle, the text complexity triangle, I've worked on the quantitative piece by lowering the Lexile, but the big piece to me is that reader and task. They are engaged in the reading, they're engaged in the task, and that I think is half the battle. I have always found in different roles, when I've supported teachers, when I've been a coordinator, when I've been kind of out of the classroom, the passion is always with the kids. It's always my favorite part. Even in preparing for today, the part that I wasn't worried about was my interaction with the kids. It's always where I love it. I learn something new from them. They surprise me. They're the reason I come here every day.